Now, if you're rebuilding a cooling tower with treated redwood, again, or treated Douglas fir, the leaching of the preservative, again, can cause a serious copper plating problem. Well, if the water's actually going on continuously, many people will treat it with a copper inhibitor with a shot of 50 to 100 ppm to tie up that copper and fix that preservative. And then, of course, some people say 50 to 100 ppm, that's an awful lot of chemical. Well, not when you give it a single shot initially, and it'll gradually degrade down to levels of 10 to 20 ppm, which if you want to do just 10 to 20 ppm, you can do that, but you've got to have enough copper inhibitor to tie up the copper, and we normally look at least 1 ppm of the azole copper inhibitor for every part per million of copper. That's a theoretical amount that you should use. I like to use at least twice as much azole just to make sure you have plenty there, just to be able to tie up that copper so you don't get into serious corrosion problems. Here's an example of a piece of 4x4 lumber that was taken out, a structural lumber that was taken out of a cooling tower down in Houston years ago, and I wanted to just identify a few things on this. The internal portion of it, you can see, is actually deteriorated by what we call a internal decay fungus organism. We refer to those as Basidiomycetes, but they love to go in and they will dissolve or consume the cellulose, leaving only behind the lignin that's tying the wood together. You frequently can't see this too easily because as you see the wood surfaces, even on the right-hand side, which you can't see too well, there's a nice layer of preservative that is preventing the organism from actually coming to the surface. But you have those longitudinal cracks that appear on the top of the 4x4, and that's typical of Douglas fir. It tends to crack when you have wetting and drying conditions, and that crack often will open up that preservative layer, allow an entry for the decay-producing organisms, and cause that particular type of decay that can occur. What you need to do is go around to your cooling tower and determine if you do have wooden structures there, is there any internal decay. Do not use an ice pick or a sharp instrument to probe that wood surface. That would just open up new spots for areas that would penetrate the preservative layer and allow the decay organism to enter. What you need to use a blunt instrument to see if there's any softness to it. At times, if you pushed a blunt instrument from the right side of the 4x4 into that decay area, it would penetrate almost two-thirds or at least half of that 4x4 timber, indicating that you have severe decay occurring. What can you do about preventing this type of thing? Well, you must make sure that you have good cooling water treatment program for biocontrol, but there's also people that have actually been spraying wooden cooling towers that will actually give you a preservative on top of what there's already there. Those are techniques that are utilized.